Daniel Andrews headed to a Bellarine vineyard to spend a little bit on local wine.
Yeah, 4 Cab, 4 Shiraz and 4 Pinot would be great.
And a lot on regional tourism.
That's why today we're very pleased to be able to announce a $170 million tourism fund.
It's part of a $2 billion package unveiled by the government after it scrapped the regional games, citing ballooning costs. But regional leaders are questioning whether the government can deliver games benefits without the games.
We miss national and international visitation. We miss 1 billion viewers worldwide seeing Geelong and the Bellarine as a great place to come.
There's also questions over building some games infrastructure. The Commonwealth Games Aquatic Centre was to be built in the growing suburb of Armstrong Creek, but there are already 5 pools either built or under detailed design within 9 kilometres of the site, and another 2 major pool projects worth $117 million under construction within 20 kilometres.
The last thing councils need is a white elephant facility.
Geelong's mayor wants councils to be given a greater say on regional legacy projects.
Because there's an opportunity here, an opportunity to truly get this right. If that's a pool, if it's something else, that should be part of the conversation.
We're always open to partnership, but I would just say this. The Mayor of Geelong, of course he would like to have a much greater say in these projects and pay for precisely none of them.
In most cases, like the ageing Bendigo Bowls Club, which needs basic work re-stumping the pavilion, the commitment to fund the promised projects has been welcomed.
We're disappointed about the games, but as far as the assurance that the development will go ahead, we're reasonably happy.
With a housing crisis raging across most of the regions, some who work with the most vulnerable would prefer to see that money redirected.
1,300 houses across regional Victoria, while extremely welcome, is still very limited and doesn't really, touch the sides of the tsunami of need.
The opposition is pushing for an inquiry, following reports the government knew about spiralling costs months ago.
They knew before the state budget that the Commonwealth Games had blown out.
And it's been some weeks that we've been finalising our position.
A freshly renovated Cardinia Park was to have been the centrepiece for the Commonwealth Games closing ceremony. But the legacy of the Games that never was is now up in the air. Harrison Tippett, ABC News, Geelong.
The Commonwealth Games were dumped due to updated costings that showed they were on track for a multi-billion-dollar blowout. And while the state's avoided this budget overrun, it's far from the first cost blowout on major projects since Daniel Andrews took office in 2014. State political reporter Richard Willingham explains.
Victorians are still waiting to find out how much compensation is due to not hold the Games. Negotiations are underway in London about how much we're going to cough up. It's not the first time the state has paid to not do something. The Premier kept his 2014 election promise and tore up the contract to build the $6.8 billion East-West link. Before the election, he said it wouldn't cost taxpayers a cent.
Contracts signed in these circumstances are not worth the paper they're written on.
But it was. Victoria had to pay $1.1 billion to not build the road. Both sides of politics share the blame for that debacle after contracts were signed before the election. So what about infrastructure that is being built? The Premier's signature projects are more expensive than promised. The Metro Rail is billions over budget, but is ahead of schedule. The Westgate Tunnel is years overdue and more than $4 billion over budget. Taxpayers have contributed to the cost on both. And the suburban rail loop was pitched as a $50 billion idea. The first stage alone will cost $34 billion, while estimates from the Parliament have the whole project costing more than $125 billion. And that's before work has even started. The price tag for other roads has also ballooned, as well as on hospitals. In opposition, Labor promised to build a heart hospital at a cost of $150 million. The cost of the project is now $577 million. Dozens of other projects are also over budget, costing taxpayers around $30 billion. The rising cost of labour and materials has driven up prices, but experts blame the government for prematurely announcing projects before detailed work has been done.
Projects often cost more than the best estimates. That is simply the way the world works. Anybody who's done a kitchen renovation knows that. Comparing Metro Tunnel or other big infrastructure projects with a 12-day sporting event is not really a fair comparison.
We're told the Commonwealth Games would have cost up to $7 billion, up from $2.6 billion. But we still haven't seen the detail and, more importantly, how the government got it so wrong in the first place.